Did you know that the original Resident Evil game was nearly a supernatural ghost-filled romp instead of a zombie-infested nightmare? Imagine shooting at ghosts instead of zombies. Quite the spectral spectacle, wouldn't you say? Back in the mid-90s, the gaming world was about to have its socks scared off with the birth of a new genre, survival horror. The catalyst? None other than the first Resident Evil game, released in 1996. But can you believe it was initially conceived as a ghostly adventure? Yes, the creators were toying with the idea of a haunted mansion filled with apparitions rather than reanimated corpses. But as fate would have it, the direction shifted. Zombies took center stage, and the game became the chilling, heart-pounding experience we all know and love. This decision didn't just create a game, it sparked an entire genre, setting the foundation for survival horror games to come. So, next time you're running from a zombie horde, remember, you could have been fighting off ghosts instead. From humble beginnings, Resident Evil has evolved into a powerhouse of the gaming industry. What started as a small seed of horror in the hearts of gamers has grown into a massive tree, its branches extending into every nook and cranny of the gaming world. The journey of Resident Evil is one of constant evolution, of taking the familiar and making it unfamiliar, of pushing boundaries and challenging expectations. Let's take the gameplay mechanics, for instance. Do you remember the early days when our heroes were confined to rigid, fixed camera angles, their movements dictated by the whims of the unseen director? It was a claustrophobic experience, a feeling of being trapped, of being watched. But then came Resident Evil 4, and everything changed. Suddenly we were freed from the shackles of the fixed camera, given a new perspective, over-the-shoulder third person. It was a game changer, literally and metaphorically. The world of Resident Evil opened up, became more dynamic, more immersive. We could explore, we could strategize, we could engage with the environment in ways we never could before. But the evolution didn't stop there. With each new installment, the graphics became more realistic, more detailed. The grotesque creatures of the Resident Evil universe were brought to life with chilling accuracy, making our encounters with them all the more terrifying. And let's not forget the storytelling. The narrative of Resident Evil has always been its backbone, the driving force behind its enduring popularity. And as the series evolved, so did its storytelling. It became more nuanced, more complex, intertwining the personal journeys of our beloved characters with the overarching narrative of a world on the brink of destruction. The evolution of Resident Evil is a testament to the series' ability to adapt and thrive in an ever-changing gaming landscape. It's a story of success, of innovation, of knowing when to hold on to the past and when to embrace the future. And it's a story that's far from over. Innovation, thy name is Resident Evil. With the release of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, the series took a daring leap into uncharted territories, revolutionizing not just itself, but the entire genre of horror gaming. The first most noticeable change was the shift to a first-person perspective. This was a groundbreaking move. For years, players had viewed the horrors of Resident Evil from a safe, detached third-person perspective. But Resident Evil 7 changed all that. It threw players headfirst into the action, making them not just observers, but active participants in the unfolding nightmare. As you navigated the decrepit Baker Mansion, Every creak of the floorboards, every shadow in the corner of your eye was a personal threat. The horror was no longer abstract. It was intimate, immediate, and terrifyingly real. But the innovation didn't stop there. Resident Evil 7 also took the bold step of telling a more personal story. Instead of dealing with the usual global bioterrorism threats, this game focused on a single man's desperate search for his missing wife. This more intimate narrative gave the horror a human face, making it even more chilling. It was a stark departure from previous entries, but one that paid off in spades, creating a deeply engaging and emotionally resonant experience. And let's not forget the use of modern technology to further enhance the horror. Resident Evil 7 was one of the first major titles to fully support virtual reality, plunging players into a fully immersive, terrifying world. This wasn't just a game, it was an experience, one that left players shaking and sweating, their hearts pounding in their chests. With Resident Evil 7, the series proved that it wasn't afraid to take risks and reinvent itself. It was a bold move, a revolution in the truest sense of the word, and it paid off, breathing new life into the series and setting the stage for an exciting future. The message was clear. Resident Evil isn't just surviving, it's thriving, evolving, and constantly pushing the boundaries of what a horror game can be. What's next for Resident Evil? If history's any indication, we're in for a treat. As we look to the horizon, the future of Resident Evil is as mysterious as the fog-shrouded streets of Raccoon City. The upcoming Resident Evil Village promises to continue the series' tradition of reinvention with a return to first-person gameplay and a new isolated setting that harkens back to the eerie locales of past titles. The series has always excelled at evolving, at taking risks, and this latest installment seems to be no exception. The continued popularity of the franchise suggests that its creators aren't just resting on their laurels. They're constantly pushing boundaries, experimenting with new gameplay mechanics and narrative elements, all while staying true to the horror roots that made Resident Evil a household name. The question isn't whether the series will continue to innovate, but how. Perhaps we'll see more of the series' iconic characters return, their stories further explored and expanded upon. Maybe we'll delve deeper into the grim and twisted world of bioterrorism, uncovering new threats and conspiracies, or maybe, just maybe, we'll see the series take a completely unexpected turn, venturing into uncharted territory. Based on past trends and changes, one could speculate on a number of directions the series might take. With the success of the recent remakes, we could see more classic titles reimagined for a new generation of gamers. The franchise's foray into virtual reality with Resident Evil 7 was a resounding success, so it wouldn't be surprising to see more VR experiences in the pipeline. In the end, the future of Resident Evil is as unpredictable as a zombie outbreak. But that's part of the thrill, isn't it? The not knowing, the anticipation, the fear of what lurks around the next corner, the excitement of what lies ahead. Whatever the future holds for Resident Evil, one thing's for sure, it'll continue to surprise and terrify us in equal measure. From ghostly origins to zombie hordes, let's recap the evolution of Resident Evil. In the beginning, we had a haunted mansion, a group of special forces, and a whole lot of puzzles. This was the birth of survival horror as we know it, a game that placed as much emphasis on resource management and exploration as it did on combat. It was a unique blend that resonated with players, creating a dedicated fan base that has stood the test of time. Fast forward to the turn of the millennium and we see the series shift gears. The game mechanics evolved, focusing more on action and less on the survival elements that defined the early entries. It was a bold move, but one that brought Resident Evil to a wider audience and solidified its place as a household name in gaming. Then came the reinvention of the series with Resident Evil 7. The developers took a risk, trading the action-oriented gameplay for a return to survival horror roots. The result was a game that felt both familiar and fresh, a game that embraced the series' history while pushing it into the future. It was a gamble, but one that paid off, reinvigorating the franchise and setting the stage for what was to come. And what of the future? Well, if the past is any indication, we can expect Resident Evil to continue evolving, adapting to the changing tastes of gamers while staying true to its core values. Whether it's virtual reality, augmented reality, or something completely new, one thing is certain: the world of Resident Evil will always be a place where players can expect the unexpected. So there you have it, a journey through time and the evolution of an iconic video game series. From its humble beginnings to its current status as a titan of the gaming industry, Resident Evil has proven that it's not just about surviving, it's about evolving. Here's to another 2 decades of survival horror and zombie-filled nightmares. Happy gaming, everyone.